Hello, welcome to Laser Cut and Fly. On this channel, I'm going to show you how to get free plans off the internet, how to convert them for your laser, how to cut out the components and build and fly your own aircraft. And with old timers like this, I'll show you how to convert to radio control. Let's get going. Hello, welcome back to Laser Cut and Fly RC Models. I'm the Laser Model Guy, and this is the second series. In this series, we're going to build the Keil Kraft Contestor. It's, I think it's a 1950s aeroplane, fantastic flyer. It used to be rubber powered, and we're going to convert it to electric radio control. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go onto Outer Zone, find the plan, I'll show you how I do that, and then I'm going to download the plan, move it to Lightburn, and I'm going to start to prepare all the components for the Contestor for us to send to our laser, and then we're going to cut them out. So let's get on with that then. So to find plans, or to find a plan, what we do is go into your search bar and look for Outer Zone. Outer Zone, and then it comes up as OAS, outerzone.co.uk. So click on Outer Zone and you're straight in to a whole library or a whole resource of plans. Now what we're going to be looking for now is the Contestor, which is the Keil Kraft model that I've talked about. So we click into our search and we put Contestor. Press search and we go straight to the old Keil Kraft model, and if we click on plan details, it shows us a little sketch of what the plan looks like, and a picture of the aeroplane that somebody's built. So if we scroll down further, what we'll come to is a place where it says plan file. There's usually a few adverts and stuff, but we've got the plan file here, so we click on that and it comes into our downloads, and we can have a look at the file or look at the plan if we want, so we can click on there and have a look at what we're going to be getting. And now this is a 45-inch wingspan model, and that plan is now in our downloads. So all we need to do is close this now, and then go into downloads, and we'll be able to pull the plan straight out. So to get your downloads, if you just open any folder, and I've opened the aeroplane clips one that I'm using for this project. So just open any folder, and down one side you'll see all these headings. If you click on your downloads, there it is there. There's the Contestor that I've just downloaded. So all I'm going to do, I've already opened my aeroplane folder again over here. All I'm going to do is drag the Contestor across, and I'll drop it straight into that folder there that I've called Keil Kraft Contestor. So if we open that folder now, what we'll find is just here we've got that plan, and that is now in our folder ready for us to start working with. So we'll import that into Lightburn in a minute once we decide how we're going to go about that, and we'll start making these components. So we've got our plan files, and now I've opened Lightburn, and what we'll do now is we'll import the full plan straight into Lightburn and take a quick look and see what we want to do. So if we go to File and down to Import, and then you search through your files on your desktop or wherever, and I'm going to bring in it's a multi-page document. Which page would you like to load? So page 1. I'll just scroll out there a little bit, and then if we bring in page 2 as well, import, again the Contestor, page 2, and so we've now got both pages in Lightburn, so we can have a little look at them. So I've got both sheets of the plan onto Lightburn, and just to put it in perspective, there's sheet 1 there, sheet 2 there, and this is the workspace. That workspace is based on the Sculpfun S9, so that just puts the size of these into perspective. Now what I'm going to do is, we've got all these components that we need to cut out. So there's, if we have a look, there's F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 is down here, and then F6 is in the nose. So we need to cut all those out. They're quite close to each other and quite tricky at the moment to do. We've also got the wing formers to mark out. So the way I'm going to do this is, I'm going to use 2 different methods. I'm going to use the normal trace method, and I'm also going to use copying around a shape using nodes. So I'll show you how I do both of those. By doing that, we should be able to get all of our components made and be ready to build the aeroplane. So in the first instance, what I'm going to do with this sheet here, sheet 2, is right click and trace the image. I'm going to bring the trace over to here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup. So now that we're ungrouped, I'm going to take this wing former here, and I'm going to bring that, whoops, I want to bring the outline as well, so I'm going to Control Z to get them back in the right place. I'm going to capture those, and I'm going to bring that up here onto our workspace. Okay, so what we're going to be dealing with is this outer line here. That's our shape. You can see there's a few little anomalies, but we're going to get those fixed in a minute. So I Control Z and get that back with the rest of the group. We also want to alter the shape of the outer line to accommodate the cut in there and the cut in for the nose just there. Now I'll be using, as a former for the front leading edge, I'll be using a 4.8mm square balsa, and the reason I'm going to use that is because I want to, these are supposed to be 3/16, but because of the extra weight with our radio, I want to increase the strength of the wing. So one tip that I had, a really good tip from one of the guys on one of the videos, was he uses a square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square, and I'm going to make that 5mm, and you can see because we're locked, that's taken the side and the height and the width both to 5, so that is now a 5mm square, and I'm going to use that as a template when I'm marking this out. Okay, so if we take the outer line and we go to nodes, I can now zoom in a little, grab one of these nodes, take it up, and this is a corner node, so we've got these two legs to point in the direction we want them to go. That one there, I think if we highlight that and then press D to take that one away, and then straighten this corner. I think that's one side done. If we get this node and bring it up to here, and then maybe remove that one, press D. Okay, now if we bring our little square over and just make sure that that's 5mm as well, because I'll be using a I'll be using a 5mm I'll be using a 5mm spar along the length of the wing as well. So back to nodes and just make sure that that's how wide our gap is for the spar. Okay, so we've widened that. That looks fine. Can just measure the height of that. That's 8.23mm. I think I'll bring that down to around 7. There we go. Okay, so we've created that shape. So if I now take this square, we'll rotate it round, and then I'll put that right in there where we want it. Now if we come back to nodes again, we'll be able to, we don't need any of these, we'll just remove those ones and then remove those and maybe take that one to there. And there we go, that should be a perfect shape now at the front when we move our rib away from there. So we take the outside and we don't need any of this anymore. Okay. Next we'll just improve the shape of this rib, and then I'll show you the other method that we're going to use. There's an awful lot going on there. If we just remove those, just delete them out. These are all smooth curve nodes, so provided all the little tags are pointing at one another, we should get a nice smooth curve. Okay, it's already improving. So I'll just keep doing that process, smoothing out these little bits and taking out unnecessary bumps and lumps, and that's how I'm going to complete this. You can remove all of those. What we don't want though is flat straight spots. Just got to make sure that we keep our curve. So I've continued smoothing the lines out, and it's mostly by removing unnecessary nodes that seem to put little kinks in the path. But when we come off node and have a look, it seems to be a reasonable shape overall. So let's go back to nodes, because there's one last thing I want to do at this back end here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this same thing again. I'm going to make a shape. So I'm going to make this rectangle 15mm long, because I want to make my trailing edge 15mm. I'm going to make the height, let me say, 3mm. We've lost our sizes. I should have unlocked. So I've made the rectangle, and I'm going to unlock sizes. I'm going to make it 15mm long by 3mm wide, which will be the size of my trailing edge. So I'm going to use a strip 15 by 3, and it's going to sit right there at the back of the aircraft. So if we go back to node mode on here, and what I want to do now is I want to shape this trailing edge. Now let me just move that down a little bit. Because I want the bottom there to be a relatively smooth. Transition there, just like that. Okay, so if I go back to nodes and then select our path, what I want is I want to insert a node right on that corner. So I'll insert, click, make it a corner node, press C, and then I want this node here finish right on that line. And now what I can do is I can take onto there, and then remove these by highlighting them all, and then press D, and then bring this up. And what we'll find now is my trailing edge will be sanded down to a to a nice taper, and these wings, or the formers in the wing, the aerofoil profile will sit right on top of that trailing edge, just like that. So that's how I'm going to do those. Now this is the main former, W2. Let's have a look here. That's W2, and if you have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're all W2 all the way down to there. That's a W3, 4, 5 and 6. So they're slightly different sizes. We'll work on those in a little while. Okay, so we'll have a look at the other method that I'm going to be using, which is tracing round a component using nodes. Now it's a little bit difficult because of the grain lines that have been put into the wood, and the reason they're on there is the designer puts them in so that you know which way this has to be cut out, to make sure that you've got the strength of, you know, of the piece running in line with the grains, rather than the grains going across, which would make it a very weak component. So straight away I'm going to go into line mode. Okay, so before we do that, I'm going to select the click on the image itself, and I'm going to assign it to that layer 2 down here. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I start drawing my line, it won't affect the colour of the main plan, because that's still a PDF image imported in. But what it will do is it will make the line that I draw using this line tool, it'll make that come out red. So we should be able to see it against the background, otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult to see. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to trace round F4 to start. All I'm going to do is click on the line, go to this top corner here where I want the line to start, and then just come down, left click, left click, left click, and just keep left clicking, making sure that I can always see the little center dot of the line in the middle of those crosshairs. Now what we'll find with this is that we need to smooth it out a lot later, but we can do that using our nodes again. And what we'll do is we'll convert each of them into a smooth curve node, and you'll find that that smooths out most of our little kinks and anomalies. Okay, and we're up to the top there, along, and then straight down to the end, and then just start the whole process again. It's a little bit unwieldy, this method, but when the plan is in such a tangle, it's very, very difficult for us to do anything other than this. Right, now where F4 meets F3, you can see there's a slight curve here in the middle. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come straight over to this point and have a straight line there, because I want the join between F4 and F3 to be absolutely perfect. So I've just broken with the plan a little bit there, and then I'm going to come round and reach this point here. Now when I come up a little further, when I come up to here, if I snap, click on the near the start point, it will snap together, and now I've got a single line where I've created that shape there. So I can actually move that out. You can see there's a couple of places here where I've wobbled a little bit, but what I'll do is I'll smooth all those out using the node tool in a minute, and we'll be fine. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to send that back to, by pressing Ctrl Z, send that back to superimpose on, and I'll very quickly go round F3. So we'll go back to the line tool, come back to here, straight line, straight across, straight line all the way down, for some reason it doesn't want me to get right onto that space. Come to there, and then I'm going to just very steadily come around this curve. And when we convert these all to smooth curve nodes, it'll make that into quite a nice shape. You'll see that in a minute. Okay. There, that's that finished off. Right, so if we zoom right in, we'll be able to see, yeah, we're right on top of the line there. Both lines are actually superimposed on top of one another. So we've got a very good connection there. Okay, so if we select this one, use our nodes and then hover over each one, not on the straight ones, because we want those to stay straight, and we make that into a smooth curve node, each of those. And then what we'll find is we'll be able to manipulate those and get them absolutely spot on. Just like that. Just like that, and you can see how this is now turned into a much better shape. Come out of nodes, have a look. Okay, this end's coming on quite nicely, but I'll keep doing that and manipulating this until that becomes a much nicer shape, and then where this is straight underneath, you'll see that this will fit absolutely perfectly, and they'll bind together really well. So I'll carry on doing that now, and I'll come back to that and show you how they look in a little while. Well, I'll show you how they look in about 2 seconds time. Okay, so I've used the nodes to smooth this out a little, and I'll show you how that all fits in just 1 second. So this is the bit around the cabin, and then this is the bit that let me show you, that sits over the cabin, and that the wing sits in. So the wing will actually sit inside this this F4 shape, and then the cabin window is where F3 comes round and meets F2. So if we go back, I'll just show you how this all works. So the cabin then, we can see where our straight line starts there and finishes there, so we need to join that straight up onto there. So that's how that will fit, but then the wing will then sit on top of there, just like that. So you can see straight away that we are, whoops, grabbed the wrong one, that we're pretty bang on with our shapes. There we go. And of course our tail, the trailing edge, which will be tapered down, that will fit in just in there. So so far so good. So the last thing I'm going to do with these components is I'm going to label them up. So this was W2, so if we come on to our text, and then we're going to set the size of the text to, I don't know, 5mm, I think will be about right. And if I come in here and I put W2, and then this up here, I think I'll shrink the text down a little bit, maybe to 3mm. This is going to be F4, this is F3, and so that's us labelled up. I'll keep our little trailing edge to one side for now. Oops, see if I can grab it. Just keep that to one side. So I'm going to set all of these. I'm going to use layers now. Now the easiest way to do this is to do the lot at 01, and then come back and set the outlines at 00. And the reason I'm doing that is because when we come to send across to the laser, what I'll be doing is I will be cutting out the outline but only engraving the inner, so the settings on the layers up here will be different for the you know, for the different components that we've got. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to carry on doing that same process with all of these components, and then I'm going to lay them out on the sheet. So I'll get all the components together and I'll get the sheet organised so that I know where I'm going to put them on the sheet, and then I'll bring you back and show you how we're all set out for that. There is one last thing to do, and that is these need to be regrouped as individual components so that when we move this, the text moves with it. Let's move our little square up there because I'll be using that again, no doubt. So group those, and we've now got our component group, and that's that component as well. Okay, so I'll bring you back when we're ready to send this to the laser, and I'll show you how it's laid out, and I'll see you in just 1 second. So as we make the last components, I'm just making the tail, the fin and the rudder. Now there's no rudder on the original because it was free flight rubber powered, but this is where I am with it now. Made some slight alterations. This is going to be the rudder and this is the fin stabilizer. So the last thing to look at is, once we make our components, or once we design and draw our components, then fitting them all together so we waste as little space as possible. And that's what I'm doing now. And in a second I'll show you another sheet that has got our wing formers. Just try to maximise the use of the balsa and waste as little as possible by fitting everything in where it'll waste as little as possible. Just get everything to fit in nicely. That bit might go in there. Yeah, there we go. So I'll carry on doing that, but before we finish today, I'll just show you what we've done with our wing components. So there we go, these are all laid out ready to cut, and if you notice right here There's the 100mm. Because our sheets are 100mm wide, nothing can cross this line at the bottom, and we don't want anything crossing the 100mm line, which is there, because that's where one sheet ends and another starts. So there'll be two sheets laid side by side on the laser, and that's how we're doing it. So in the next video I'm going to show you sending this to the laser, cutting out the components, and we'll start building the aeroplane. I'll be doing two wings, two main wings, one for a 3 channel, which will only have servos to the elevator and to the rudder, and there'll be a 4 channel model which will have ailerons as well. So I'll be making 2 wings, and I'll show you how I go about that, and then you can make your choice whether you have 3 or 4 channels. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.